Welcome to PVPN. I am your local realtor and host, Joe Alessi, and we're in the middle of December. Most of the country would probably be talking about their hockey teams or perhaps their ski team or an indoor team like basketball, but we're in Southern California. We're going to talk today to a couple of surfers from PV High. So we got some great surfing locally on the peninsula that they could dip into a little bit later, but we're going to delve into their program a little bit at the Sea Kings. They actually just had the kickoff classic that they're in the middle of, as well as, of course, the Bay League competition. So I want to welcome today both of these gentlemen. I'll let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Karsten Wanke, senior at Palos Verdes High School.
And I'm Pierce O'Leary, and I'm a junior at Palos Verdes High School.
Okay, so most people, if they're not in the surfing world, don't know how you guys do your thing as far as the team concept goes at the high school level. So talk about the team. I hear you got about maybe 30 surfers on the team.
Yeah.
You actually even have some girl surfers on the team as well,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then if Coach Pekich is your coach.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, because most team sports, that people that know, like say football or baseball, more common sports, you have a team, right? And then you have your starters on the field. And there's obviously a game that takes place where there's a score and there's a time limit on things and so forth. So surfing it's more like an Olympic type of scenario, I think,
yeah.
where there's a judge aspect of it, right? So there's some subjectivity to it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But talk about your team in general, how it's kind of set up, and where you guys fit in on the team as well, just to kind of familiarize people with how the sport works on a team level.
It's something, competitive surfing is like extremely unique compared to any other type of sport. Each round consists of 6 surfers, and the heat typically ranges from 15 to 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And each contest will contain 128 surfers typically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is on the competitive level where that's more individual.
Correct.
Right? Which is what the kickoff classic was, I believe, correct? Yeah. So now, but when you're talking about your team, as a team, do you also compete as a team? Yeah. Meaning you have to compile points as a team. So talk about how that works.
So in the Bay League, when we compete in Bay League, pretty much we'll face another high school and we'll build up a certain amount of heats, and normally it'll be 12 shortboard boys, 3 longboard boys, 3 longboard girls, and 3 shortboard girls. And we'll run heats all the way through, and it'll be 3 people in each one from each team. And they'll run it all the way through, and if you get first place, you'll get 6 points towards your team, mm-hmm. and so on and so forth, all the way down to if you get last, you get 1 point. And whoever comes out with the most at the end wins the match.
So is it kind of like tennis in a way where you get matched up against one other person, or you still compete, you just out there on your own to try to compile points, or is it you against one other surfer from the other school?
Yeah.
During Bay League, it's still 6 people per heat, and then you have 3 people from your school and 3 people from an opposing school.
Okay.
Competing against each other.
It's kind of unique because normally in surfing it's like an individual sport where you're going for yourself, but mm-hmm. for the way that they do it in high school surfing and a team aspect, you're kind of working as a team. If another person needs a wave, then you try and work together to get them a wave. Mm-hmm. And the goal is for everybody to get first, second, and third mm-hmm. to get the most points possible.
Okay. And then where do you guys typically fit in on the team structure as far as how they're going to group you up? Are you together usually in the same core 3, or they break you apart? How do you guys particularly?
Typically we're together, but it all depends. There's so much strategy that goes behind it, and how you're seated against other people.
The way that they'll put the heats in shortboard is you'll put the top guys, typically 1 in each heat, and then follow it up with the rest of the pack, mm-hmm. So it's balanced. Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of comparing it to tennis again, you could have one standout athlete that really is a really good surfer or tennis player, and they might do really well, but you still need the rest of your team to show up and perform, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you have one great surfer, you have to collectively have a great team to,
Yeah.
right?
The best team would be.
So is there a total amount of points that you have to hit? And
No,
once you hit that point, you win?
It's just
whoever-
based off of whoever does better.
Whoever has the
between
most.
the other team, yeah.
So is there a total amount of points that could be got? You know, it's like,
Unless you would win every heat, I guess there is a maximum, but
which is what?
It's around like 200 or something.
yeah, probably
200 points. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of points to be
Yeah.
had. Okay, so typically, do you have close meets where it's 98 to 102, or do they
Yeah.
get that nitty gritty?
Normally it's like I would say it's constantly like within like 5 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all
It's not
comes down to
often
the
that it
last
gets
heat.
more than that.
So on that point, let's talk about the judging, because when I was at the Kickoff Classic, there was 3 younger kids, and some of them, I believe, used to be surfers, maybe
Yeah.
even for your own school or a local school, and they're in this tent, right, and they're watching you out there. Is that, when you're competing in the Bay League, is it the same type of structure, or is there coaches that are judging? Who's judging the event?
It's the same. It's typically judges like from sometimes
They'll take kids, and then they'll take also like well-experienced surfers from throughout the South Bay, and they'll put them all into the tents, and they'll have 2 different zones, and they'll put 2 heats out at a time, and yeah, I mean, the judging's it's pretty good. Like, it's not as, bad as most other judging could be.
Yeah, people aren't getting upset, right?
Yeah, no, not typically.
Okay. And when you compete, even on the Bay level, are you going to 26th Street? Is that where you're having most of your heats happen, or is it?
it kind of ranges all across the South Bay. It'll be Torrance Beach, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan, kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it happens in one day, or do you have to? Because I know it's wave dependent. Like if you have 1 week that you play a particular school, and if there's no good waves that week,
You just make do with what you have.
You just-
yeah.
whatever you
Typically,
got.
they open it up from Wednesday to Friday. And
Okay.
whatever day has the best waves out of all those, that's when they'll run the contest.
and everybody's got to show up that day. There won't be some
Yeah.
people compete on a Wednesday and some on a Friday.
It's all in
You
one
guys
morning.
all come together
Yeah.
at one point and just make it happen.
Everyone competes on the same day.
Okay, cool. Now, typically, how does the Bay League shape up? Is there, does one school tend to be on the top every year, or is there a lot of fluctuation year to year on who's winning the Bay League? And
I would say it can there's top 3 schools. I would say it goes Palos Verdes, Miracosta, and Redondo High School.
okay,
For sure.
Okay. Talk about practice. Obviously, other sports. Every day you're going out typically on the field and you're working out to some degree. Are you? I know they kind of mix like a PE class
Yeah.
with practice, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
But so
I think-
every day are you going to the beach,
Pretty
or you're doing
much.
something at school as well, or?
The thing that's cool about surfing is that you can practice the same way as you can at actual surf team practice and in your own time. And what they have is this class, you make it a class, it's your 4th period, it's called Surf PE. And pretty much every B day, which is every other day of the week at school, you're going down in the morning and you're surfing with Coach Pekich. And when you're not able to do that, we'll practice on normally every Wednesday for a good 2 or 3 hours. And Coach Pekich does a really good job of teaching us strategy and helping us understand what we can do to do our best in our heats. For sure.
Yeah.
So what are some of those things? Give us an example of some of the things that he wants you to work on that maybe you weren't thinking about yourselves to kind of improve your game.
I think some of the most important stuff he works on with us is time management in heats and wave selection.
I think wave selection is the biggest.
And when it comes down in heats, like definitely the number one thing is wave selection. You can't get a good score on a bad wave. So
Right. Yeah, because you can only catch 10 waves.
yeah, you have a 10
max?
wave maximum in your heat.
Okay, so how do you know? Okay, for our non-surfers, so back in let me just tell you this. 1980. Okay, I went to Margate, which is PVIS. All right,
Yeah.
I had to go to Maryland High School, but I was getting to be friendly with some of the good surfers, in 8th grade.
Yeah.
But I could skateboard pretty well. But I got my surfboard. I went down to Rat Beach, and all summer long, I tried to do my thing. And I'm telling you, I could not pull. I basically called myself the Pearl King.
Yeah.
That's my own name that I gave myself. But so it's not an easy sport.
Yeah.
But
definitely takes some time.
yeah. So talk about when wave selection. How do you know if this wave is going to end up being a good wave? I'm sure you have something that's tipping you off. What are you looking for when you're out there?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes down to the amount of time you put in the water. I'd say like someone that's just going into the water wouldn't be able to tell what a good wave looks like. It's all experience, and yeah, with experience comes more knowledge in the water.
Yeah, and typically like I'm a regular foot, so when I'm out in the water and I'm surfing in a contest, I'll look for a good right because that's on my front side, and that's what I prefer.
So when you say a good right, is you're facing the beach, meaning that you're surfing to the right?
Yeah, you're facing the beach and you're going to the right.
Okay.
And I'll be on my front side, so my
And that's
toe side.
because your left foot is on the front of the board when you say that you're regular,
Yes.
right? Versus goofy foot, your
Yeah.
right foot
foot's
is
on the front.
Do you purposely, let's just say you were goofy foot, is it better to be regular or does it not matter?
Well, Karsten's a goofy.
Are you forcing yourself to?
I'm a regular.
No,
Karsten's a goofy.
all
foot,
kind of
so.
comes down to like what foot's dominant. Like you
Right.
don't get to pick which hand you throw the football with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
For sure.
Okay. Because I know, part of the things that you're doing nowadays, that you guys are, you're doing a lot of stuff on the wave.
Yeah.
So does it help you to like be more ambidextrous in that sense, where if you can work different parts of the board, or is that something that you're even thinking about?
Not necessarily, but I think it does play a big role being like good at balance and being able to control self-control.
And when you practice outside of the water, that's typically what you're working on a lot is your balance, and it's a good thing to be able to use both of your feet because doing certain maneuvers to get a good score,
Right.
you're using both of them.
Right. So talk about there's the longboard, and then is it the shortboard? Is that what you're calling the other?
Yeah, shortboard.
Yeah.
Right. So why did you gravitate to the shortboard versus the other, or do you do both? Or
I do both.
We both do both, but I think shortboard is more fun because it's more progressive.
Yeah.
And there's more opportunity.
Yeah.
And-
You can expand it more. There's a lot of different things that you can do on a shortboard that you can't do on a longboard.
and tell us what that is, because most people, again, if you're not a surfer,
Yeah.
you're not going to know. So talk about it.
In longboarding, the main maneuver to do on a longboard is a nose ride, which is pretty much when you're stepping up the deck of the board, and like a lot of people know, hang 10. And that's what your goal is to do, is to have your toes on the nose of the board, and to be just gliding across the wave up on the front of the board.
Okay.
And on a shortboard, you're trying different things and maneuvers like airs and snaps and other stuff.
So when you're in your heat, you've got 15 minutes. Is that what a heat tends
Yeah.
to be lengthwise? So you're out there, you're paddling out. What's your strategy? Talk about your individual strategies as you're out there. What are you trying to accomplish? Are there certain things that you do on the wave that would give you more points? Tell us what those things are.
Yeah.
What are you focusing on out of those different things that you can do to actually get points?
Yeah, I mean, it's the beginning of the season, so we can't really give away much, but it kind of comes down to you just want to get the highest score in the heat, and I
Right.
think that depends really on, you want to be able to do the biggest maneuvers.
Yeah.
And you want the wow factor.
Right.
And you want to be
Yeah.
able to impress the people on the beach and the people in the tent, giving you the scores.
Typically try and get the most amount of maneuvers on the same wave as
Right.
possible. So if you can get a lot.
How many maneuvers are there potentially that you could do realistically?
Well, I don't know. I mean, every wave's different. I think that's the awesome part about
Yeah.
surfing. You typically want to get into the two to three maneuver range. That's when your scores will get higher, but anything more is always better.
Yeah. And typically it depends on how good the waves are on that day of the contest, but there could be a contest where you're going to get a good score on just getting one, and another day where the waves are good and you're going to have to push yourself and get up to 3 or 4.
And what would be an ideal wave when you're out? 3 to 4 feet, 5 to 7. What kind of wave is waves that you guys actually feel that the team's going to do well, and you individually are kind of pumped when you're out there, like,
Yeah.
oh, these look really good? What gets you excited?
Yeah, I'd say anything in like the 4 to 6 foot range.
Okay.
Yeah. When the waves are
Anything
pumping.
bigger, it's a little bit more challenging to do maneuvers, and then anything smaller, it's also more challenging to do maneuvers.
Right.
I think the typical thing you want is good size probably head high wave, which is around 4 to 6 feet.
Okay.
A nice open face that's not really walled and closed out. So it has a nice line that you're able to link a lot of maneuvers all the way to the beach.
Right. So when you're talking about the maneuvers that you're doing, do they have to all happen on that same wave that you're riding?
Yeah.
Or are you when you get a wave, one of your 10 waves that you get, and I know maybe you don't even get 10 sometimes because maybe they're just not coming in good enough or whatever the case is, but are you saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to try to do this maneuver on this wave, or the wave will dictate what you're going to do as you're happening, or do you know going in like, okay, I'm going to try to do this right now. I need to get more points or whatever.
Yeah.
How are you like?
Well, yeah, you
approaching?
definitely, like you can see what other people are doing on waves, and you'll know like, oh, I need to get a bigger score. But I think when you stand up on a wave, it's all kind of spontaneous and whatever.
It kind of, when you're looking down the line on the wave, it kind of just comes to you. When you see the section that you're going to do the maneuver on, it kind of just happens. And when you see people in the heat and they're doing big maneuvers and they're throwing a lot of spray and doing airs, then you tell yourself, like, I need to find the wave that I can do that on and get that score.
So give us, and it's not giving away, what you're going to do for the season, but just tell us, give us one or two things that should get you more points if you pull them off. Like, what are those things that you're trying, that you can do, or that you want to improve on? What are the moves that you'd love to pull off this year that maybe you haven't in the past? Are you trying anything different?
I think anything you can do above the lip, any aerial maneuvers you can do will automatically give you higher scores. But then if you're not able to do that, I think just bigger turns on bigger waves. That's what the judges like to see.
They
That's
like to
where
see,
your scores will go higher.
They like to see you release your fins off the back of the wave, which will cause more spray, and the turn just looks bigger. And obviously, as Karsten said, like, just wanting to improve on how to go above the lip on every section that you can, because that's how you're going to maximize every score.
I noticed when I was watching you guys, and I don't, maybe it was you, Pierce, there was this thing that you were doing where were you trying to generate more speed? What were you doing when you were like kind of bouncing?
Pretty much, when you stand up on the wave, and every maneuver you're going to do, you're going to need speed to do it the best that you possibly can. And what surfers do is they pump. So pretty much you're compressing down lower onto the face of the wave, and you're releasing up, and that's generating speed, and it's like a flow. And then that's what you do to gain a lot of speed to do a bigger turn or maneuver.
Yeah. Okay. So on your own personal level, do you guys have coaching on the side or training on the side? Because I know a lot of sports these days, you go out and you get your personal pitching coach or your personal running coach or whatever it is that you do. Do you guys do that in the surfing world?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the gym 4 to 5 days a week, working on. It's more just trying to make sure you don't get hurt. Because surfing, you're constantly putting your body in a strange position. You just want to be prepared for anything.
The work you put in for surfing specifically, it's a lot of being athletic and being flexible and being able to make your body able to do these maneuvers and whatnot. And definitely coaching on the side. You definitely take on a lot of mentors, and the thing that's so cool about surfing is that everything that you learn, it gets passed down to you. And it just gets passed down from person to person. I think that's what's so cool, is that you know all these people and they can teach you so much, and it's like endless. Yeah.
When I have the coaches here, you guys are actually the first time I've had athletes to talk to, which is kind of cool, but we always delve into social media. So I love that you guys are here today, because obviously as an adult and a coach and a parent, you look at social media in one way, and then and you hope that your kids, whether you're your students, your athletes, or your own children, are being responsible. But I know, obviously, if I was a teenager and social media was around when I was a kid, there's obviously a fun element to it, right? So
for sure.
Tell me how you guys are using social media, if you are. What platforms you're using, and what you're doing on it, and just any stories that you think would be just relevant to talk about. Because we're going to look back on this 20 years from now, you're going to say, that app's not even out anymore, right? It's going to be gone. It's going to be something else new. But anyway, so just talk about social media if you can for a little bit.
Yeah, I think pretty much the majority of the world is on Instagram. And I think that's where I spend most of my time. It's an awesome platform where you can see what other people are doing, and especially as a surfer, it's not so much like live streamed and broadcasted. So it's cool to go on Instagram and see like what other people are doing all across the world.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely a good way to gain attention too.
Yeah.
And like posting and spreading content and like just showing what you can do. It's a good way to gain attention.
Right. Any interesting stories to tell? Anything that's happened or anything you've seen out there, you know, it's pertaining to surfing, of course.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think it's in the wintertime, there's constantly, I feel like the most interesting stuff on Instagram is just like big waves and people getting like insane rides. Yeah, I think that's more interesting part about it.
Right.
For sure.
And then what are your parents saying to you, if anything, about using social media? Do they tell you one thing or another, or are they just letting you run free?
I think they see the benefits of it and using it to grow yourself as a brand and as a person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think they care too much as long as they know I'm making the right choices.
Yeah, especially as an athlete too, they know that like there is a lot of eyes on you and stuff that you do and you can put out there, and you definitely want to stay level and just think about what you're doing before you do something. I think that my parents know that that's what I'm using it for, and that's what I'm using it to do, is to gain attention and grow myself as a surfer.
Cool. Yeah. How many followers you got?
I have 13,000.
Oh my God. We would die to have that many. I mean, I would anyway for my real estate business. And then what about you?
Around like 2,000.
Oh wow, you're gonna have to, obviously, you gotta learn from Karsten.
Influencer.
That's great, I love it. Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, well, where are you seeing PV in the Bay League this year? You guys, I know you want to win it.
Yeah, no, I think.
Do you think that's?
I think we have a great team.
Are you the
this year.
favorite?
Yeah, we're putting in the work as well, and I think we all have that growth mindset to be the best this year. And we're all putting in the work, and it's great to see everyone down there in the morning at the beach.
It's good to see everyone fired up because everybody wants it, and everyone's willing to try their best in every heat to be able to take down like the rest of the top dogs and hopefully come out and win the cup.
And the season officially starts when?
It started today.
Okay.
Yeah, we finished the kickoff classic today, and the Bay League season starts today.
Okay, nice, and it'll go through.
I think it typically ends around April.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a pretty long season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes on for a little bit.
Is there any kind of playoff thing too in surfing, or is it once the league is over, the season?
Pretty much the way that they do it is that everybody plays each other, and whoever has the highest record, or so say, they're the winners. And they take, at the end of the season, they also take, the coaches pick their best surfers from every team, and they put them all into a contest, and it's called All-Stars.
Oh, sweet.
And pretty much all the best surfers from each team go up in a contest, and it's an individual one.
I'm Joe Alessi. I am a broker associate with RE/MAX Estate Properties. So the beauty of our industry is consumers have choices all over the place. What they don't know when it comes to real estate is what to really look for. So things that they should think about is looking for someone that will do the little things. I will lose a deal before I allow someone to do something that's not going to benefit them. I've been with RE/MAX Estate Properties about 11 years now. The clientele I work with can be very vast, from someone buying their first home, of course, to someone upsizing their home. Could be a lot of different things that they're looking for. A lot of people love to say they go the extra mile. You'll hear that all the time. I am not afraid to get my hands dirty around the house. And under the house, go into an electrical panel myself or climb on somebody's roof. It could be anywhere. I tend to become friends with many of the people I work with. This is not a one and done type of business. This is a lifelong relationship once it starts. Okay, so, when we were talking about riding the waves before, you were talking about spray elements and different things different tricks and maneuvers you have to do. Obviously, the board is your friend, right? And you probably live and breathe with this thing. So talk about your boards, why you chose what you did. I noticed, one's taller than the other. I don't know if that has to do with your height or just how you preferred to use your board. So just talk about your boards. So
when it comes to the height, the main difference is this is for a more grovelly surfboard. So you're going to typically ride that in the smaller waves with less power.
Yeah.
And then when you're riding a board like this, which is more high performance, you want a bigger wave and more power.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have multiple boards? Like if you go out to compete against whoever, Peninsula High School, whatever,
Yeah.
Are you bringing multiple boards down because you're not sure which one you want to take out, or is this your board that you're going out with?
Yeah, regionally, I think the waves are more subpar, so you're going to be riding a gravel board, which is a smaller board, just because the waves don't have much performance available. Yeah, and I would definitely bring multiple boards down just in case one happens to the other one.
Flip them around and talk about, the fins. I mean, is this typically what everyone gets, the 3 fins, and why?
Yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
Yeah.
Is there other?
Normally, typically everyone uses the 3 fins because it's the best for high performance surfing, and that's typically what you're trying to do in contests. Is you're trying to surf as high performance as possible. And what the 3 thruster fins setup is what it does is it helps with speed and power and flow, and pretty much it will generate a lot of speed pretty well. At the same time, it flows down the line pretty good, and when you're doing a turn, it has a lot of power.
Okay. And unlike when you're using the longboard,
Yeah.
one fin?
One fin,
still?
one big fin though.
Yeah. And typically a longboard's going to be how much? 10 foot?
9 to 11 feet.
9 to 11.
Mine's
range.
like 9.2, and I use a 9-inch fin,
Okay.
and that's a lot bigger than those.
And are these particular brands, or do you guys have, because I know a lot of people make custom boards. I mean, it's just basically fiberglass on foam, right? Is there
Yeah.
anything
Well,
different?
shout out Chili Surfboards. They're based in this region, South
Okay,
Bay.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So you had that custom made for you?
Custom made.
Nice.
All made in California.
Love
And then I ride Channel Island surfboards there out of Santa Barbara, and
Okay,
this one's
sweet.
custom made for me as
Nice. So when you had it custom made, was that more just the design of the, what you see visually underneath this, or is it something else that you did custom?
Yeah, I work with the shaper personally, and it comes down to like we go around how the rails look, how sharp the rails are, and where like the foam is put in the board to make it more buoyant in certain areas to generate speed. And yeah, we're constantly changing the height, changing the width, and working on a bunch of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and typically what I did with this surfboard is I wanted something that at home in the waves where it is not as punchy and not enough power, that I'll have something under my feet that will be able to generate enough speed for me to surf as best as I can.
Is there any other things that you're out there when there's no waves that you could, whether it's skateboarding, do you find skateboarding helps you stay like in shape, or is there any kind of, because there's so many devices out nowadays, even to work on your core, right?
Yeah.
The balancing stuff. Is there things that you like to use when you actually can't surf?
Especially in the wintertime, I think I find myself in the mountains most of the time. Snowboarding, I go up like probably once a week at least. It gives you the repetition of surfing, but it gets you on snow.
Nice.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that too, but definitely snowboarding, skateboarding too. And I think that paddling also, prone paddleboarding helps a lot because you're working on the same muscles that you're going to use while you're surfing and you're trying to catch waves.
Cool.
So
what's the hand signal these days? Is it still this, or is there? I know there's a Sea King. What's the Sea King?
It's still the Shaka.
It's still this.
Yeah,
Is that
it's still the Shaka.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, we'll end on that note.
Thank you.
Hopefully you enjoyed the show today. Please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have 13,000 subscribers like Karsten does. It's just one at a time. So click on that button, and thank you for watching today.
Yeah.